Hi, and welcome to your program setup. My name is Amanda Micallef from Divine Physiques, and I just want to say welcome aboard. It's an exciting time that you've embarked on this new journey. So I'm going to take you through the program setup so that you understand from end to end how it operates. And once you get it, it's fairly straightforward. The first thing you need to do before we get started is to make sure that you have a Gmail email account set up, because then what will happen is you'll need to download an app called Google Sheets, and this is where you'll be able to access your program. So I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to show you what that actually looks like. Okay, great. So as you can see here on my desktop, you want to go to your App Store and download Google Sheets. This is what the logo actually looks like, because what will happen is you need to log in to Google Sheets using your Gmail account. And once you receive your program for the first time, it will automatically appear on the app. This is how intelligent this little system is. Now let's run through the actual app and what it looks like. So on a desktop, this is what you would see. It looks pretty much the same on your phone, but this is going to be a lot easier to read it this way. So this is just a basic template. So up here, typically your name will be here, and it would say your name, program, and the year that we're in. At the moment, it's 2024. So it would be, for example, Amanda Micallef program 2024. Okay. The first page is your instructions. Now you can feel free to have a read of those instructions. For example, how to record your nutrition, recording measurements and photos, and then the program itself. Now, if you are a person that's taking part of the weekly check-in process, these are the questions that I'd like you to answer each week through way of video check-in. And typically you would send that through to WhatsApp. So if there's anything here that you don't understand, feel free to reach out to me. For those of you that are not doing a weekly check-in, you might already have received a program or have received a program, and all of your data has already been updated for the month, then you don't really need to worry about this. But for those of you that will be checking in with me weekly, please make sure that you read through this part. Now, BP 1 of 3, this is the first program. The first 3 months will be labeled BP 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. And each time you get an update, a new spreadsheet will just continue to be added in the same spreadsheet. So everything is kept together. BP stands for beginner phase. Now to take you through the spreadsheet itself. So your name will be here. It'll be dated from the time that the new block has been written, and then the name of the block will be translated up here. To take you through the top part as well, okay, here is the current maxes of squat, bench, and deadlift. This is really only for people that are chasing numbers and strength-based programs, so don't worry too much about that. Across here, we have abbreviations. So abbreviations, there might be some abbreviations in the program where it might say either DB, for example, which stands for dumbbell, okay, SA, SL, and so forth. So if you do see an abbreviation like this, please feel free to come to this table here. Then we go to the RPE scale, which stands for rate of perceived exertion, which is a scale of maximum effort from 1 out of 10, 1 being not much effort, 10 being max effort. Most often than not, you will never get an RPE of more than RPE 9, which is typically 1 rep left in reserve. So for example, okay, we have here the machine glute kickback. It says 3 by 12 to 15 reps, and the RPE target is RPE 7 to 8. So you refer to up here. So if you were to reach 15 reps, typically you would still have about 20 to 30% in the tank left. Okay, so we're not going to failure, basically, is what that means. Across here, we have tempo. So some exercises might have a tempo attached, and it breaks down the number. So the first number would mean the lowering phase. The second number would mean the bottom position. The third number would mean the lifting phase. And the fourth number would mean the top position. Okay, so for example, we could have a bicep curl of 3201, and it translates to the amount of seconds each movement takes. So first number, lowering phase. On the way down would be 3 seconds. The bottom portion would be 2. You would wait there for 2 seconds. Coming up, the lifting portion is 0, 1. So we're focusing on the actual eccentric portion of the lift of a bicep curl. That's where most of the time under tension would exist, which in bicep curl translation works quite well because a lot of people tend to do bicep curls with quite even tempo, and then they sometimes curl downward too quickly, and that's where a lot of the muscle growth actually happens on that lowering phase. So sometimes you might be given this kind of target. Again, if you are confused, you refer to the number system here. Then we go to how to actually record your weight, because some people just don't know. So we have broken down as per the equipment used. So for example, a barbell is one big bar. So that would include the total weight. So most barbells would either come in 10, 15 or 20 kilo increments. Dumbbells, you would only record one side at a time. So for example, if you were doing dumbbell curls and they were both 10 kilos, you wouldn't write it as 20 kilos, you'd only write it as 10. The same thing applies for kettlebells because they're individual. And then body weight. So if you're just using your body weight, you would write BW in the set. So, or for example, an incline Y raise where you could put dumbbells in your hands, but some people don't have the upper body strength, so they could also do it as body weight. So you could write the reps times body weight as an indication of the weight that was used. And then we have timed reps. So some targets will be based under time and not rep targets. So you might have 3 sets of 35 seconds, that's your target, as opposed to 3 by 15 reps. Hope that makes sense. Then we have rest periods. So typically this is a guide based on how many reps you're shooting for. So if you are shooting for between 8 to 12 reps, you would only want to be resting no more than 1 to 2 minutes. If you were going for more strength-based training where the reps are a lot lower, you'd have 1 to 3 reps. Typically, you'd be resting for quite a few minutes. And that's to allow for the recovery to be just enough, but not too much that you're losing lactic acid in your muscle. So we want to rest just enough to bring our heart rate down, but not enough that we start to go cold and we're losing some gains in the process. Over here, we have our color coding system. So these would typically be highlighted in the boxes themselves. So if you ever see a green box here or 2 green boxes side by side, they are actually meant to be performed one after another. Green highlighted exercises are to be treated as a superset, meaning you perform the selected exercise one after another, and then you rest for 90 seconds before the next set. Now that, of course, is just a guide. If you feel that you are well rested before then, you are welcome to go again. All right, so I hope that makes sense. And again, just reading through all those guides there, there's a full breakdown of each color code. Then coming into the program, depends on how many days you've been allocated per week. For everyone, it's different. Most people will train anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week. But you could also be doing weights alongside a different choice of exercise, whether it's boxing classes or Pilates, and you're also wanting to incorporate a couple of weight sessions in between that. So I do have those clients that are probably only doing 2 sessions on their actual program. So each program will have the day and what the focus may be. Now, whether it's upper body, lower body, it would typically be written here. Now we move across. So obviously you're going to tackle week 1 on each day that you have allocated in your program. Then you'll go to week 2 all the way to week 4. So we write 4-week blocks. And then after the 4 weeks, you'll get a whole new program. And then obviously the new spreadsheet will be allocated right next to the previous spreadsheet. Now, all of these exercises are hyperlinked into videos, okay? So this one here is an old sample. So I'll just pull up a video. So as you can see, bang, we just go in and that will be linked up into YouTube. And there is an example of that. Great. So on your phone, usually you would double tap this heading here. It'll open up a menu to say open link, and then you would pull it up on YouTube on your phone. Okay, so that is that there. You would just scroll across to see all the exercises that you have allocated. So that's pretty much the program there. Then we go into nutrition. If you are tracking your nutrition, then we look at the breakdown. So we have macronutrients. So macronutrients consist of total calorie intake per day, protein, carbs, fats, and fiber. Now, if we are looking at tracking your nutrition, we would typically have the target put in here, and then each day you would write your total macronutrient breakdown as per using MyFitnessPal. You would take the numbers of MyFitnessPal after you've been keeping a food diary all day, and then you would allocate them in each day here. And then what I do is I usually take the average across the 7-day period, and then it helps me make adjustments into weeks 2, 3, 4, and beyond. Okay. And above each week, there'll be a date there to make sure that we know exactly what our dates are. Also, nutrition will be paired up with your program. So every time you get an updated program, if you are tracking nutrition, you'll also get a fresh nutrition spreadsheet. Going down, we have scale weight. So you can choose to weigh yourself 3 days a week. Some people don't like the scale, so I never force them to weigh themselves. But again, if you are really chasing those fat loss or muscle gain goals, the more data that you write down, the more that we can manipulate the numbers and see what's happening based on the data. Then we have sleep and digestion. You would simply refer to the keys tab to understand what grading system you need to give it based on how you feel, and then you write those numbers each day going across the pink tabs here. Then we go down into weekly measurement. That there has been calculated so that every time you add in a number, it automatically updates. Okay, so the totals will automatically update for you. Just make sure that you don't actually delete that so that it doesn't ruin the formula. Going down to muscle groups trained each day. What did you do on Monday? Did you do day 1 of your program? Did you do day 1 and cardio? Did you have a rest day here? Day 2 here, and a bit of cardio, for example, and so on. So that is also very straightforward. Cardio targets. So if I am giving you a cardio target, I would typically write it here within these boxes, and also supplementation. So you would put a list of all your supplements down here that you're taking, and obviously how much that you're taking, which you can put in the pink boxes here. And then obviously it runs in conjunction to a 4-week period. And then after that, the block will end. So that's that there. Mobility. Now, this serves as a guide to how to warm up for either lower body or upper body. These are general, but they work quite well. If there is anything specific for you, any guidance that I might have received from a physiotherapist that you might be working with or a chiropractor, I will put specific warm-ups based in here. I might also put specific warm-ups if you are more based on strength and conditioning for a particular sport. Then we would have to make sure that your warm-ups are going to help you based on your goals. The last spreadsheet that you need to look at is your photos. So if you're someone that trains with me more than twice a week and in the gym up to 4 to 5 times a week, it's worth taking photos. If you're someone that trains with me once a week and you're probably only training, you might be training elsewhere, you might just be looking at wanting to get a little stronger and not necessarily chasing a massive transformation, in which case you don't really need to worry too much about photos. And the same can be said about tracking nutrition. Everyone comes to me with different goals, just so you are aware. So that basically wraps up the spreadsheet. If you do have any questions at all, please shoot me a text message or give me a call or shoot me an email, and I'm happy to help you from there. Thanks so much, and can't wait to see you transform.